Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Spiritual Awakening with yours truly, Dr. A.G. Green Sr. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And you know what to do. Tag and share and tag. Tag and share and tag. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see you coming in. Again, spread the word, spread the message. Even text a few folks and let them know Spiritual Awakening with yours truly is on air. And I am so excited to be with you all on this particular day. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing it is to address you, to connect with you. Tag and share and tag. Tag and share and tag. Into you. I forgot now, baby. Pleasure connecting with you tonight. So you're on. That's right. Speak as you come in. Let other folks know that you're here as we prepare to share some wonderful information with you on this particular day. Whatever time of day it is that you're watching me, I am honored and privileged that you're on with me. Let's pray. Almighty, I'm so grateful and thankful for this space and this place. It's even metaphysical, it's above the physical. That which is of a dual existence, spiritual and natural. We're thankful today. Thank you for your provision. Thank you for goodness, mercy, astounding and amazing grace. Lead us and guide us, and lead us, speak to us directly. Let there be great understanding of what is revealed here tonight. Bless you. In Jesus' name, spiritual power, consciousness, and so, and so it is. Glad to see you, family. Glad to see you on this particular evening. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. I want to make sure that there are no technical difficulties. Yes, I just turned the background music down. Trying a new feature here today. Haven't really used the background music before. Thought I'd see what it would sound like. And I just turned it down in the background. Preparing to turn it off in just a few minutes. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Can you see and hear me well? Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Thank you so much. That's from YouTube. Somebody says they can see and hear me well. Somebody from Facebook now. Let me know if you can see and hear me well on tonight. Let me know if you can see and hear me well on tonight. I'm on part 3 of a series. All right, we got a loud and clear from Krista. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I always like to remind you that you're made in the image and likeness of an all-powerful, infinite being. Paul said we are his offspring. Therefore, we are the offspring of an almighty, omnipotent God. You have his spiritual DNA in you. Every cell and every fiber of your being is connected with God. You are not a powerless, inferior creature. You are powerful. So I want you to take time right now to celebrate yourself by typing in the comment section, I am powerful. I am powerful. As a matter of fact, I want you to speak it out loud. I want you to own the power. I want you to allow the power to surge through you. I want you to become comfortable with your spiritual divine identity. I want you to type it in the comment section. I am powerful. Speak it out loud at least 3 times wherever you are. Come on. I am powerful. I am powerful. I am powerful. Now to him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think. And it is according to the power that worketh in us. The power is inherent. The power is intrinsic. The power is internal. It lives on the inside of us. And so I want you to type in the comment section. That's it. I am powerful. Never ever be afraid to own the power that you are, and the power that you, by permission of the Almighty, have been allowed or are allowed to use. I am powerful. What a blessed thing it is to know that you are a powerful spiritual being. And again, it is an honor and a privilege as usual to be with you on this particular day. I'm glad that you're owning the power because it is a blessing to know that you're powerful, to not shy away from the power, accept the power, embrace the power, and know the power. For how can the power work in your life except you with some type of intention, exercise, and utilize that God given power that you are, that God given power that you possess. All right? Thank you so much. Now I'm going to check on you in the next few minutes before I get into the teaching on tonight. Just want to check on everybody. Want to know what's good. Tell me about your week thus far. Remember, this is a subjective interpretation of your own life. Therefore, there is no judgment here, regardless of what you say about your own life. I'm just checking in with you. This is my way of seeing how you're doing. And so tell me what's good. What's good, my family? What's good? And tell me about your week. I am curious to know how your week or how you have assessed or how you do assess that is your week thus far. So talk back to me. Talk back to me real quickly. What's good? Tell me about your week. I'm waiting. Don't make a brother wait. Don't make a brother wait. Let's see. He says my week has been trying with other circumstances, but it has been so good even in the midst of wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else want to share how your week is going thus far? Talk to me. How is your week going thus far? Nobody's going to judge you on this platform. It's not loud. This is me checking on you. Also helps me to know how to pray for you as well. See, therapist, resident therapist, Pastor Cox says, I am well and peaceful. And this week has been insightful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else want to share how your week has been going thus far? Talk to me. Talk to me real quickly. We're going to move into uh, a teaching on tonight. How has your week been going thus far? While you're preparing to tell us how your week has been going thus far, and make sure I alter something real quickly before we get into the lesson of tonight. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your transparency and just letting me know. And of course, others who are watching me, how your week has been going thus far. All right. Very good, everybody. I started a series. This is the third installment of the series. And again, if you're just coming on, please tag and share and tag. Let folks know that we are on, that we're broadcasting on tonight. This is part two of Five Signs a Relationship is Unfit for Marriage. Five signs a relationship is unfit for marriage. And I'm almost done with this. I'm on sign number 4 tonight. We're on sign number 4 in this continuing series. Five signs a relationship is unfit for marriage. And if you know somebody who you think might need this subject matter, please tag and share this with them. Also, I haven't seen anybody type in the comment section I shared yet. When you have shared, or when you have tagged, let us know that you tagged and shared or tagged or shared. I most certainly would appreciate it. Number 4, y'all ready for number 4? Y'all ready for number 4? Tell me if you're ready for number 4. Tell me if you're ready for number 4. It's a pretty interesting one. And for those, again, who are considering marriage, those who are considering marriage, um, this subject matter is good for you. And for those who are already married, this subject matter is also good for you because if you're already married, then it's an indication that there are some signs of trouble in your relationship. So I say to you that many of these things that I'm mentioning, they are in the top 5 or top 10 reasons why marriages fail. The top 5 or top 10 reasons why marriages fail. All right. All right. I'm about to put up number 4. And number 4 is chronic blaming. Chronic blaming. Type that in the comment section for us. Chronic blaming. That's number 4. Chronic blaming. I think relationships are a wonderful thing, from family relationships to romantic and romantic relationships that lead to marriage are wonderful things. But when they are entered into lopsided, dysfunctional, um, dramatic, or two people are incomplete, then you're going to see some of these things that we've been discussing over the last few weeks. Number 4 is chronic blaming. So let me define to you what chronic blaming is. Of course, in relationships, couples are constantly positioning themselves to ensure that they get what they want and need. There's a positioning or a posturing that takes place in relationships. And of course, this positioning means they're constantly searching and identifying things that make them happy, sometimes to the exclusion of their partner. So it kind of, especially in the beginning, becomes a territorial thing. Blaming starts when a person is on a mission to defend their turf and get everything they want. Everything they want. So again, people begin to uh, carve out turf for themselves. They begin to carve out a geography in their marriage, drawing lines in the sand and deciding um, what they want, how they want it, when they want it, and at the same time trying to assert their individuality or to assert a desire for honor, respect, to be treasured, feel safe, feel secure, feel valuable. And this is typically when these things begin to happen. Problems arise in relationships for various reasons, but there must be a mindset employed if couples are going to settle issues. Even if you have the least faults in a relationship, you are flawed. So once again, people start out in this bliss and they finally get to a place where they start thinking within themselves, what do I need to be happy? What has to happen for me to be happy? What makes me happy? Watch this. What does so and so have to do for me to make me feel special? What does so and so have to do for me to help me with my visions and goals? What does so and so have to do for me to show that they love me or that they respect me? These are a lot of times questions that people pose in their minds. And remember, we all bring preconceptions into our relationships. We all bring our own worldviews into our relationships. We all bring our own ideological concepts about life about marriage itself, into our relationships, and gender roles are a part of that. And of course, what it means to be loved, what it means to be respected is also a part of that family. And I want you to realize that um, it's not so much that our concepts are wrong, but sometimes um, the expectations are flawed. And yes, sometimes the concepts are flawed, as well as the expectations. But the truth be told, until there is some form of a meeting of the hearts and minds to bring about a compromise, there's going to always be some distortion, some distortion. So typically, what happens with people when they start this turf war, I want you to type it in the comment section, turf war. Type that in the comment section for me. 2 words, turf war. Type that in the comment section for me. Turf war. Turf war. Turf war. People start defending again their turf. Now, their turf could be representative of, again, what they feel is necessary to make them happy, to make them feel good about themselves, to make them feel special, to make them feel needed, to make them feel wanted, to make them feel like an equal partner, to make them feel like a partner, period. These are, again, part of the preconceptions that we have about ourselves and the preconceptions we have about relationships. In other words, a man should treat me like this, or a woman should treat me like that. And even within the framework of what I'm saying today, whatever your experience has been in life that has caused you to develop any levels of trauma, the trauma also influences your identity. It influences how you see yourself. It influences the kinds of things you think you need to be safe, secure, happy, loved, accepted. And when you don't get those things, then people begin to feel unloved, unimportant, rejected, insignificant. And when we start feeling these ways, then negative emotions are generated. Our feelings get hurt. We become bruised. We become injured. We become angry. And as a result of that, the fight will start. The fight will start over what I believe I'm worth. That's ultimately what the turf was about. Do you see me? Do you see what I'm worth? Do you respect who I am? When people say, "Do you respect who I am?" Respect again is about worth. It's about worth. It's also about validation. And so the turf war begins. Now I'm going to get a little bit deeper into this in just a few minutes. I say so even if you have the least faults in the relationship, you're flawed. I want you to type it in the comment section. Everybody's flawed. Everybody is flawed. Type that in the comment section. Everybody is flawed. So what ends up happening is two people are flawed. And of course, when one person or both places the blame insistently and persistently on the other, the couple has moved from one accord to discord. Again, I believe this is in like the top 5 or 6 reasons why marriages fail. The one who's blamed the most will eventually feel pressured, unworthy, humiliated, and frustrated. Then the accused becomes villainous, and problematic in the eye of the accuser. The accuser becomes oppressive and resented by the accused. So let's let's look a little bit deeper into the effects that chronic blaming can have on a person. In Psychology Today, I ran across a wonderful article written by Neil Farber, who's an MD, a PhD, a certified counselor. This man got so many things behind his name. And he writes in an article entitled Five Ways Blaming Hurts Relationships. But the centerpiece of the article is Dr. Tom Jordan, a clinical psychologist and owner of the Love Learning Life Learning Center. So he quotes quite a bit from him. And Dr. Tom Jordan, this clinical psychologist, shares these five ways blaming hurts relationships. Are y'all ready for what's next? Type yes or no. Are you ready for what's next? Are you ready for what's next? Type yes or no. Get your pen and paper, take out your recordings, and come back. This is good, vital information. Good, vital information that I want you all to absorb as much of as you can. All right? All right? Y'all ready for some more? Because I'm getting ready to give it to you. Now, we're talking about chronic blaming tonight as number 4. 5 signs your relationship, is unfit for marriage. And of course, I said if you're married and this is going on, then there's a sign that there's definite issues in your relationship. Okay? Got a few questions to ask you at the end. And according to Dr. Tom Jordan, the clinical psychologist, here are 5 ways that blaming does hurt relationships. It's a form of emotional abuse. Type it in the comment section, 2 words, emotional abuse. Type chronic blaming is a form of emotional abuse. It is a form of emotional abuse. It is a form of emotional abuse. Type that in the comment section. It is a form of emotional abuse. It's a form of emotional abuse. The next 2 words we're going to type are verbal beating. Verbal beating. Type 2 words. Verbal beating in the comment section. Listen, when people are chronically blaming each other, yes, and I talked about emotional abuse the last 2 weeks. When they're constantly blaming each other, we also talked about verbal abuse. It is emotional abuse, aka a verbal beating. People are literally beating other folks up with their mouths. Now, hear me real clearly. We understand that as an agency, as a person, as an individual, we are responsible for how we interpret anything that comes into our life. But there are some things that are loaded with malicious, heinous intent in terms of words that are used to try and hurt you, wound you, and at times even destroy you. When people engage in chronic blaming, family, you are literally using your words in such a way where you are tearing a person down, period. Sometimes it doesn't start out with that motive, but people who are constantly blaming, and let me say something about the blaming situation. Sometimes the blaming is false, sometimes the blaming is a lie. There are other times There is a legitimate reason and a legitimate concern. But it becomes chronic, meaning since you haven't seemed to have received a certain kind of response you want from the other person, you in turn become a blamer in a chronic, habitual, unproductive, ruinous fashion by constantly highlighting the thing that the other person is not doing right or appropriate in your eyes. And hear me when I say this. This is happening in dating relationships. I'm not exaggerating. This is happening during courtships, not just after marriage, but during courtships. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And each person has positioned themselves. As the therapist is saying, he says a power control move. Each person is positioning themselves to assert their authority, assert their power to get what they want in terms of what they believe pleases them. Now, let's just be real. We all have needs and desires. So that's not an issue. The issue is how do you get those needs and desires met? And another issue is it possible that you're with somebody who's selfish? Is it possible that you're with somebody who thinks more about themselves than you? Or on the flip side of that, isn't it possible that you yourself could be a person who's dealing with your own internal turmoil to the extent that there is a potentiality that nobody could ever do anything to preach? Wow. Come on, hear me, somebody. I'm about to start flowing here in a minute. One thing I've learned is even when people have a legitimate case, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Number two, the chronic blamer has to be careful that in chronically blaming somebody else, they aren't doing it from a void, that they aren't doing it from some level of intimacy, that they, intimacy, that they aren't trying to have somebody else feel something that should be filled within themselves. Let's get to point number two. Point number two of what this clinical psychologist says. The blaming subjected to a regular diet of blame may start believing that they are responsible for things that were beyond their control or with which they had nothing to do. End quote. Dr. Jordan reports that being a victim of a loved one's blame leads to self blame and feelings of guilt. Oh my goodness. So, as a result of that, some people start blaming themselves. Have you ever, have you ever, and sometimes we felt like this growing up as a child, and sometimes people feel like this a lot in relationships. Have you ever felt like in a relationship that you just couldn't do nothing right? Have you ever felt like that? And you got blamed so much from the person. You don't look right. You don't act right. You didn't fix this right. You didn't fix that right. You know, you should have done this. You should have done that. To the point that this can happen to you so many times until you start wondering, do I have a problem? Is there something wrong with me? Has it ever happened to you that you were blamed so much in a relationship or even growing up, maybe in the family, that you felt like maybe there is something wrong with me? Let me see your responses in the comment section. Yes or no. We don't judge you on this platform. Yes or no. Tell me what you're thinking. Have you ever been in situations where you were blamed so much until you start wondering if I am the problem? If you start wondering if there's something wrong with you. All right. I got one answer. Let me see if I can get another answer. Who's willing to be transparent with us tonight? This is a safe place where we do not judge you. Thank you. So we got a couple of yeses. People can become so flooded with you, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to change this, and I need you to do this, and you always messing up, and you this, that, and the other, and you never support me, and you don't have my back, and you didn't straighten up the room, and you. Have you ever been in a situation where sometimes that chronic blamer was getting ready to say something nice about you, and you said, "What did I do now?" Because you've been blamed so much, you just figured that whatever's going to come out of their mouths is eventually going to lead on a trail that's back to you. I know of some couples, I've counseled scores and scores of couples down through the years who've had this same complaint. They could be talking about Jello. They could be talking about Jello, and it ends up coming back to, what the husband is not doing for them, how the husband is not this, that, or the other for them. You know what I'm saying? They could be sitting around watching games, watching a game, or sitting around watching a movie. And in the middle of the movie, a scene pops up. And before you know it, the husband can end up looking at his wife like, see, this is what I'm talking about right here in this movie. See what just happened to them? Yeah, I know a lot about that because that happens to me all the time. There you go, blaming somebody. Am I making any sense to anybody thus far? Okay. So it will cause a person to start blaming themselves. Oh, family, it's the truth and nothing but the truth. Number 3, down the road, the guilty feelings that the blamee experiences inevitably result in poor self-esteem. So this can result in poor self-esteem for somebody. You can be pummeled so much by somebody else's words until your self-esteem can be affected. Your self-esteem can be impacted. All right? Can I tell you something? You were built, you were built to be loved, and you were not built to be criticized and dumped on all the time. Children grow up typically with low self-esteem because something has happened in their lives to make them feel inferior. And when people practice chronic blaming, which is number 3 that we're discussing tonight, when folks practice chronic blaming, it directly affects how they feel about themselves. They can be in a crowd of people and feel tiny and small. They can be next to the one they love and yet feel tiny and small. And I've learned that males and females handle feeling tiny and small differently. They handle the way chronic blaming makes them feel differently. I'll tell you what a man does. Now, there's extremes on either end of the spectrum with men. Sometimes they get physical. The other side of the spectrum is they just go cold, dark, and silent on you. They withdraw to themselves. Women will find other people to become emotionally attached to. They will find other outlets. All right? They will start trying to withdraw their affection and start looking for satisfaction or to be pleased. Now, men do that too. But these are some of the symptoms for women. Chronic blaming will impact your self-esteem to the point that when you look in the mirror, you'll wonder if you're even really worthy of love, worthy of acceptance, worthy of affection. And sometimes it's a double and triple whammy for people who may have grew up in environments where were already being berated, they were already being vilified, and then they find themselves in a romantic partnership or a romantic relationship where what they've experienced in their youth continues. This is why so many people are walking around with their heads hung down, walking around feeling like what they can't accomplish certain things, walking around feeling like the world hates them, the world don't love them, walking around feeling like they're, as far as God is concerned, they're not existed. It's because of the way they see themselves. But again, if you're in a relationship with somebody who's chronically blaming you for everything, including when it rains, including when the car breaks down, including when the children cry. I need you to hear what I'm saying. Including when you get pregnant. Somebody talk back to me. You get blamed for everything. And if you're not careful, you will take that to heart and start thinking that you are worthy of being criticized and maligned. Number 4 under the 5 ways. Dr. Jordan also asserts that becoming a victim of self-blame may have its roots in early childhood. Early childhood. One example that he uses is when a child blames themselves for their parents' divorce. If only I had been better in school, daddy and mommy wouldn't have fought so much. If only I had not said that bad word, daddy wouldn't have left. So I want you to understand that, as I said before, sometimes this stuff starts in childhood. The bottom line, it begins at an earlier point in time in our lives, but then somebody else comes along and waters the seed. That number 5, blaming reduces intimacy. It's difficult to get close to someone and maintain a close relationship when they have their arms outstretched with an accusing finger. I want you to hear what I'm saying today. When people get blamed too often, family, the intimacy will start drying up in the relationship. Who wants to hang out with a person who's blaming them for all the stuff, all of their ills and wrongs? Are you hearing me? This is what abusers do, physical abusers, verbal abusers. Things go wrong in their life and they take it out on the people that's closest to them. Well, chronic blamers do the same thing. But what happens is, after you get caught up in the cycle of being a chronic blamer, what can and will eventually happen is that a person will start withdrawing from you emotionally. They will start withdrawing from you in terms of focus. They will start withdrawing their desires from you. Again, who wants to be with somebody? Now, listen, 30 minutes ago, you told me what I wasn't. You called me out of my name. Hear me. 30 minutes ago, now you want to have sex. Now you want to put your hands on me. Now you want to get you some. Come on now, y'all know I'm telling the truth. I need some likes and hearts on Facebook. I don't see nobody saying nothing on Facebook or YouTube. Well, Pastor Cotton said something, but I need some other folk. I need y'all to chime in. I need them likes and hearts to come in. Am I saying anything that makes sense to anybody thus far? Talk back to me. I need some interaction. I'm looking in my chat now. You can become chronically blamed so much. You don't want to be intimate with people. You don't want to do stuff with them. You don't want to hang out with them. You don't want to get naked with them. You've got resentment that's setting up in your heart. You got bitterness that's setting up in your heart. The last thing you really, really want to do is to be with that person who's chronically blaming you for hundreds of reasons, if not thousands of times. It's problematic to the accuser. And the blamer becomes an oppressor, making the accused feel oppressed. Am I making any sense? I want you to type 2 words again in the comment section. We used it last week. We're going to use it again this week. 2 words. Type the word safe place in the comment section. Safe place in the comment section. Type 2 words, safe place, in the comment section. We typed it last week. We're typing it again today. Safe place. Safe place. Now I know I'm talking to some freaky folk out there, but come on now. There are some times that people can talk you out of the mood. They've been putting you down all day, and now they want to do some stuff. No, you don't feel intimate. You don't feel connected with that person. How can you feel connected with that person if you're always feeling attacked by that person? Am I making any sense to anybody? Safe places is important. When you go out and brave this world, when you go out and work, when you go out and help, when you go out and serve, when you go out and deal with people, you want to come home to a place where you can be loved, accepted, nurtured, find healing, receive assistance, have somebody who's got your back, have somebody who sees you the way you deserve to be seen, have somebody who understands your heart even when you make mistakes or missteps. A safe place is valuable and very important. But if you're experiencing number four, chronic blaming in your relationship, and you're on the end of that, you don't feel safe. Secondly, to the chronic blamer, for whatever reason, you ought to be exhausted chronically blaming somebody for your troubles every day. Again, we're talking about folks who are dating. So I'm going to ask y'all a question. I want some feedback on this. I want to ask you a real question. Why marry someone you blame for most of the problems in your relationship? Why would you marry someone you blame for most of the problems in your relationship? And question number two is, why marry someone who's always blaming you? Why would you marry somebody, number one, whom you constantly blame? I'm just sick of you. I'm tired of you. There you go again. And then why would you want to be on the end of that? Well, you can hear this at least once a week. I'm sick of you. I'm tired of this. You don't care about my feelings. See, this is your problem. Who wants to hear that? Why would you marry that person? Y'all talk back to me. I need some feedback. Why would you marry somebody you're constantly blaming about what's going on in a relationship? And the flip side of that, question number two, if you're the accused, why would you marry somebody that's constantly accusing you of making their life miserable? Why would you do that? Again, y'all not even married yet. You're in the dating phase. You're in the dating stages. And you're constantly being blamed. And some of these people are doing stuff and you do something similar. You can't say nothing to them, but they're gonna sure say something to you. I don't see no feedback. Is YouTube and Facebook working right? Okay. Therapist Cotton says, let's see. He says, answer for both: fear of accountability of self. Fear of accountability of self. So this is his answer for why people would marry somebody they constantly blame, or why the person who's being blamed would marry somebody. What do you think? What's your answer? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's all grown folk on here tonight. Everybody, I'm just gonna be honest. Everybody's not waiting till they get married. I'm not here to judge you tonight for nothing. I'm just, is it the sex? That's why I had to preface that. What is it? Is it the sex? Is it the looks? Is it you feel like you haven't felt this kind of energy with a person, this kind of affection? What is it? Why would you marry somebody you're constantly blaming, or why would you be the person that's being blamed by another person all the time, and you still married them? I'm looking for some more answers. Don't just leave it up to the therapist tonight who's watching us on YouTube. I'm gonna go through a couple of texts here in a few minutes, scriptural texts, and I'm going to be done. I sincerely want to hear your feedback, and there's no judgment for whatever you say. Maybe some of you all have been in that situation before, and that's why you're quiet tonight. It's all right. But I still want uh, I still want to hear your feedback. His second answer is you don't know yourself. That's very true. That's very true. So why do people do that? I sincerely want to hear an answer. Why do y'all think people do that? If you've done it before, don't tell on yourself. Just you can just create, put your answer in the comments so everybody else can grow from what you're hearing. Hear me real clearly. Well, the law's gonna fix it. I know a lot of folks who thought the law was gonna fix something and they ended up divorced or ended up in a worse situation after marriage than before marriage. Don't put this on God. This is a legitimate question. Why, family? I got one answer. Nobody else going once, going twice, going two times, going three times. This family, if you're experiencing this, apparently some of y'all might be experiencing this. That's why you're so quiet. If you're experiencing, if you are the blamer, if you're the one blaming them, why? What makes you think it's not going to get worse after you marry them? If you're the one blaming, doing the blaming, okay, that's whether you're right or wrong. And I'm not saying it can't get better, but most of the time, if there's a problem, this is why premarital counseling is relevant and important. It equips you for issues and challenges in your present relationship. Number one, that you can look at, identify, and decide, okay, if this is popping up as an issue now, you start trying to come up with a plan as to how you deal with that so it won't be in your relationship, in your marital relationship. You get a chance to learn each other in a deeper way, be more transparent, put things on the table, work through them. Because I've seen it time and time again. It's better to fix a lot of stuff before you jump the broom than afterwards because some folk, after they jump the broom, they get comfortable. They got you. Their mindset is, I got you. You accepted me like this. And they don't have a growth mindset. So they're not putting in the work to change. I hope y'all hear me. So I'm saying to you, let me put on my authoritative hat now. Let me put on my authoritative hat now since y'all so quiet and not responding. If you're in this relationship, you don't need a voice from heaven to speak to you. You don't need a prophet to speak to you. If you are chronically blaming somebody, or you are chronically being blamed by somebody, then you need to put a halt on your relationship and get that fixed. If you don't get that fixed, family, it's going to fix you in the worst way possible. Let me show you the power of words. Let's look at the power of words real quickly. My assistant's still on here tonight, even they quiet. Let's look at the power of words real quickly. Somebody put up for me, well, you probably won't be able to put it up, NIV version. Hillary normally does an NIV version. Hillary, James 3:16. James 3:16. That's where we're going to start. James 3:16. I'm not sure if Chris is on. James 3 and 6. I'm sorry, not 16, 3 and 6, Hillary. James 3 and 6. Let's talk about this tongue. Let's talk about this tongue. Okay, let's talk about this tongue. James 3 and 6. So, family, if you are being blamed, or if you're the one who's doing the blaming, it is a deeper symptom, or is a symptom, excuse me, of a deeper problem. Do not gloss over it. Don't go blind and act like you don't see it. Stop trying to rub oil on it. You simply need to address it. It's just as simple as that. It's something that must be addressed. Look at the NIV. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil. The parts of the body, even among the parts of the body, excuse me. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. In other words, James is trying to tell us that this little member in our mouths, one of the smallest members of our body, called the tongue, is a powerful, powerful, powerful force. It's a powerful, powerful force that could, if used incorrectly, be sinister, be evil, be corruptive or corrupting, be destructive. How you use your tongue to talk to people has a direct impact on them. All right, Proverbs 12:18. Proverbs 12:18. Proverbs 12:18. When you're chronic blaming, I'm going to say it again. This is why you should sit down with people who have experience. For example, instead of blaming somebody, let me give you a pointer or two because I didn't intend to do that. I'm just highlighting some stuff. Okay. If so and so, say you think that they're not uh, loving enough. Instead of saying, you not loving enough, I've been telling you, you're just not loving, you're just not affectionate. Use some examples. For example, honey, when I was in this situation and I was crying and I was emotional, it made me feel like you didn't really care for me in that moment because you weren't there for me. You didn't hug me. You didn't hold my hand. You see how I just did that? It made me feel like, or I felt like. That's not an accusatory term because you're saying it's my feelings. This is how I felt. You're not telling them how they felt. You're not telling them they did anything wrong. You're saying, this is how I felt. Am I making any sense to anybody? Did I get that right there? Did I get that right, Pastor God? Let's look at Proverbs. Proverbs. Pull up the scripture for us in Proverbs 12:18, real quickly. Let's see. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So words can impact us like sharp swords. That's why it's like a form of emotional abuse because nobody wants to feel like I'm worthless. Nobody wants to be constantly assaulted and attacked by being blamed for everything. Oh, it rained today and it's my fault. The washer and dryer broke down. It's my fault. You had a flat on the way to work. It's your fault. You didn't put gas in the car, but you blame your partner for that. You burned up the food in the oven. If I hadn't been thinking about Johnny, I wouldn't have burned up them cookies. No, you burned the cookies. And when you use your words to attack people, the scripture says, it's like swords. Last but not least, Proverbs 15:4. And I'm going to let y'all off here because y'all real quiet tonight. I must be talking good. Proverbs 15:4. Proverbs 15:4. Proverbs 15:4. My. Y'all still love me, don't you? Y'all still love me, don't you? 15 and 4. And then we're going to be done for tonight. I'm trying to get you out of here on time. Am I making any sense? Is this helping anybody? Chronic blaming. It's like crickets on you. I hate to say that. You need to liven it up a little bit. My God. 15 and 4. Proverbs 15 and 4. Waiting on her to put the scripture up. Proverbs 15 and 4. When she puts it up, then I will put it up on the screen. Or am I going to have to, let me see, am I going to have to read this? Proverbs 15 and 4. Let me read it for the sake of time. And go ahead and put it up, Hillary, when you get it. It says, the soothing tongue, that's referring to speech, your talk, is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. So you see how pleasant words create life, but perverse negative words crush the spirit. Can I ask y'all a question? Have you ever uh, felt like, I was at Proverbs 15 and 4, Hillary. Have you ever felt like you have your spirit crushed? I've had mine crushed before. When people use chronic blaming in a relationship, oh, I'm sorry, Hillary, I was up too far. Hillary. When people experience chronic blaming all the time, it feels like somebody crushed your soul, crushed your heart, crushed your spirit. And it's not that they're always using profanity, but they're speaking of you in such a way that is so demeaning. They're speaking of you in such a way that feels evil to your heart, evil to your existence, evil to your being. They're speaking so negative and derogatory about you all the time. This is why chronic blaming is number 4 and the reasons why people get divorced. But again, and I know y'all been quiet tonight. I guess I'm living on somebody's role. Maybe somebody's experiencing this. If you are experiencing this and you're not married, do not, for my humble opinion, marry that person, because 9 times out of 10, as we say, unless somebody gets some serious help, you're going to blame them more or they're going to blame you more after y'all get married. Am I making any sense? There's a way we can communicate and get what we want without blaming people. It is a signal to me that when people are constantly blaming the other person for something, I've seen this as a counselor. Many times there's something in them they don't like. There's something in them that they lack. And they may not, be, I don't like to use the term bad, but they may not be as far off the beaten path or as far off the path as they should be. Their spouse may be further off. But typically, when they can't rest enough in themselves to get a point across in such a way where it's not going to be insulting or make that other person feel like crap, it's typically because there's something in them. Something in them is driving them to continue to nag and then start using, language. I'm not talking about what we say cussing, which is really swearing, but I'm just saying berating a person. If you was a real woman, you would do this. If you was a real man, you would what? All I ask you to do, and you can't even do that. Please pick up your shoes. That's all I ask you to do. I work just like you work. You always, there you go. Oh God, your clothes. Look, if Tom would finish with, please put them dishes in this just over and over. Why you always late? I appreciated it more when you wore your hair on the other side. That's a form of complaining too. There's typically something missing in that person. And last but not least, this ain't even in my lesson today. This ain't even in my lesson today. You should not be with anybody. I'm going to say it like this. You should not be with a person just to make you happy. Happiness is a personal thing. Now, the person we connect with should enhance your happiness, contribute, and do things to you and for you that makes you feel happier, IER, than what you already are. And yes, God raises up healers in our lives. What I mean by that, we can have some wounds and scars, and people will love us to wholeness. That is true. But you still don't marry to be whole. If you're not whole when you get married, you don't marry to be whole. And then learn when God drops a person in your life who is loving and caring and patient enough to love you, let them love you. But don't complain, because complaining is a sign that there's something going on in your heart, in your mind, that needs to be changed. And again, I know I've said it several times, and this is going to be my last time saying it. If you see this now, family, if you're on either side of this conversation as the blamer or the blame, get some help. Seek out your pastor. If your pastor doesn't have a lot of knowledge in that area, seek out a professional, somebody who's more competent. Seek out somebody who can be more neutral to talk to both of you. And let me say this. Can I say something? Can I say one more thing? Can I say one more thing? Yes or no? Can I say one more thing? Yes or no? We're talking about chronic blaming tonight in relationships. 5 signs your relationship is unfit for marriage. Well, I don't know why I keep doing that. That is unfit for marriage. This is what we're talking about today. And number 4 out of number 5 was chronic blaming. I want to say one more thing before I get off. If you see issues and challenges like I've been discussing over the last 3 weeks, and let me go ahead and go through and give you the first four I covered: physical abuse, verbal abuse, poor communication, and number 4 today is chronic blaming, and number 5 is going to be a doozy. Let me tell you now, number 5 is going to be a doozy. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but number 5 is going to be a doozy. Okay, it's going to be bigger than what y'all realize. But you see these kinds of symptoms and issues in your relationship, and y'all dating? Y'all dating? Let me. Can I ask y'all a personal? Have you ever been so angry with a person, so disappointed and frustrated with a person that you didn't want to sleep in the same bed with them, let alone have sex with them? And if you have ever experienced that before, then the point I'm making is you can be so angry, so sad, so depressed that you don't want to have nothing to do with a person. This is where you're headed if you're the chronic blamer or you're constantly being blamed. You're going to find yourself in a situation where you're not going to feel like you love them anymore, or love them like you used to love them, or want to be with them. So get some help. So the advice I'm going to give you is, you see these things in relationship and you say, Ray, or you say, Shanae, we should sit down and talk to somebody. And Ray or Shanae don't want to sit down and talk to nobody. That's another sign. Check it off on the list. Nope. Because what's going to happen is when you jump the broom with this joker and you start having more problems and they start clowning and acting worse, they're not going to want to talk to nobody. They're not going to want to hear nobody, which puts you in a more difficult situation because now there's no voice to help them reason or no voice of reason for death. Nobody is above advice from anybody. I'm going to say it again. Nobody is above advice from anybody. And so if you are the blamer or the blame, you could be the blamer and say, listen, I realize I need to get some help. I realize I need to sit down and talk to somebody. And then we need to talk to somebody because I need to understand, why you keep doing what you're doing. And they said, no, I'm good. No, that's your problem. No, you have that. No, let me tell you something. That's the way it's going to be for the next 5 years, the next 10 years. It's going to be that way for a while. And you're going to be over there lonely and drowning and pitiful and feeling alone and by yourself. You're trying to make self improvements with a joker who not open to making self improvements. Shut it down right now. And if they refuse some help, you got some hard decisions to make. You got to learn how to cut some folk, cry, bleed, and move on to the next person. But chronic blaming will help dissolve and destroy the marriage. All right, family. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm done for tonight. I'm done for tonight. I'm done. I appreciate y'all listening. Love you so dearly. And put the giving opportunities up at the screen, on the screen, in case you want to give a spiritual awakening offering tonight. Did you enjoy what you heard? Did it make sense to you? Did I make it make sense? Talk back to me. Did I make it make sense? Did I make it make sense tonight? Did I make it make sense tonight? Talk to my family. Then I'm going to release you. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, sir. Blaming is definitely territorial. Let me pray before we release you tonight. And you can use the giving opportunities at the bottom of the screen if you desire to give. But let me pray before I release you tonight, because it's obvious. It's very, very glaringly obvious to me that some folk have been dealing with being in either position. This is not to cast aspersions on anybody. It's just a warning. Type the word warning in the comment section. There's a scripture that says warning comes before destruction. Warning. It's a good old fashioned warning that comes from love. All right. Cash App $ AG Green. Cash App $ AG Green now. Love you so dearly. I'm going to release you with the shalom blessing tonight. And I'll see some of you all in a couple of days. Shalom, shalom, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. Nothing missing and nothing broken. It is so, and so it is. Enjoy your night. Thank you for tuning in to Spiritual Awakening with AG Green C.